so much, Mr. Chair. And I want to also add my sincere and warm congratulations to you, Ms. Hogan, on your appointment to be our new Auditor General. It's an important role. Thank you for your service to our nation. I wanted to start off before my first question is I just wanted to correct something on the record. My colleague, Mr. Julian, had indicated that the only time there's ever an increase in the Auditor General budget is when there is a minority government. And I think as you just stated, and as the interim Auditor General had indicated, the last time he met with us is that in 2017, there was actually an increase of just over $7 million. I know that our government in budget 2018 had committed to investing more than 41 million additional dollars. I know that there's more to come, but I want to make sure that that was on the record, that dollars did flow in a majority government in our last parliament. Now, my first question to you is regarding point number 11 that you mentioned. You talked about our committee's motion calls on the Auditor General to audit all federal programs associated with Canada's COVID-19 response. Is that the intention? So while there's a motion, is that typical that it would be that the Auditor General would actually audit 100% of the programs, or is it that the intention is that you will do 50%, 70%, 75%? If you could just clarify that, that would be appreciated.
So thank you. I did raise it, I guess, in order to provide a little bit of clarity to that. The motion did say all programs, and I'm just going to go back to it. I think it said all programs that within COVID, all the audits that we were intending on doing, and you know, as an independent audit office, it's very important to be able to have the choice to audit what you want, when you want, and to the extent that you want. So I simply wanted to highlight that auditing all of the COVID programs might be would be astronomical. There's just so many, and then we would likely just be doing that for many years to come, which we don't believe is the best thing for Parliament and the best for Canadians. There are many important programs out there that we need to look at. Military spending. We would love to go back and look at cybersecurity, something that we have delayed. We think the reliance on technology across the entire country has made it very clear that that's an important audit to look at. We'd love to do a follow-up on connectivity in the north.
So Ms. Hogan, sorry to interrupt. Is it that, so you're just saying that you're not intending on all programs, but it's going to be a subsection? And
we're going to look at risk and where we'll have the best impact and value. So yes, that is our intention. We just wanted to highlight that we can't look at what the motion said, which was all programs.
Okay, perfect. And you don't have an idea about whether it's 25% or 50% at this point? It's just kind of, you'll take it as it comes along?
Absolutely. I think that we need to be able to have the flexibility to plan right now on short term. We do have a medium and long term plan. It's a little bit in flux because the pandemic might evolve as we move forward. So I don't have a number or a target, but our intention is to look at what we think will add the most value and is the most important.
Thank you. My next question is, you had indicated that the work is progressing and it is underway. How is the audit of the spending that's been undertaken and the money that's been borrowed due to COVID-19, how is it different than the audits regularly conducted by your office?
So when you mean regularly, you mean in respects to performance audits? I guess what, you know, I don't really see it much different other than it came from an order in the House. It might be somewhat different in that some programs that we focus on are really within one department. This has got a much more horizontal impact across many departments who might have a role in either establishing a program or rolling it out. So that just adds some complexity. Some of the programs might be structured in a very different way where we might see lots of controls before money flows. And because of the response in an emergency time, that's usually where you try to get funds out quicker so that your controls then show up a little bit later on in the process. So what we would call as auditors preventative controls or detective controls. So it just changes the approach that you might take or the way you might look at a program if there are preventative versus detective controls. But other than that, it doesn't really change what we're looking at. We still have to gain a great understanding of the program, and we'll look at the outcomes and how it might have been established.
Very quick question.
Thank you. And
Julie.
I do have one more. I know we've been talking a little bit about technology and how far behind, how ahead we are. Is there a sharing of best practices around the world in terms of similar countries or G7 countries around how to maybe be conducting these audits around COVID-19 or around where technology needs to be at?
Oh, thank you very much for that question. We have been engaged with our fellow Supreme Audit Institutes across the world and within the country. I believe we have had a great conversation and several conversations and continuing ones with the Australian Audit Office, as well as the provincial Auditor General offices. So it is something that we regularly do and that we do much more regularly now in the context of COVID so that we can benefit from best practices. When it comes to technology, every office is very different. Some of the provincial offices, for example, have 25 individuals in them. So their capacity and their technology needs are very different from what ours might be.